Hi, this is Eric Hall with the Fuze magazine, and today we're lucky enough to be talking on the phone with Michael Lardie of the legendary band Great White. How you doing today, Michael?
I'm doing great. I'm, in the airport getting ready to come out to Syracuse to do Turning Stone this weekend.
Okay, yeah, you guys got a big show tomorrow night at Turning Stone. It's an amazing venue, sounds on point. Is there anything special that the fans can look forward to when they come out and see you guys tomorrow?
Well, maybe a new tune or two from our new record, Full Circle. That's what we're hoping to do. And it's our first time actually playing Turning Stone, so really looking forward to it. We've heard such great things about it.
That's awesome. Now, what do you play? You play the rhythm, I believe?
Yeah, rhythm, keyboards, percussion, harmonica. That's just what I do in the show. Play a number of other instruments, but it's pretty much on a as-needed basis. If we decide that we want something interesting on the record, if I don't know how to play it, I'll learn how to play it. And it's just a blast for me to go through the experience of getting a different perspective about being able to use an instrument that would maybe be outside the box of what you'd think a rock band would do, and it's just a blast for me to be able to do something like that.
Now, during the shows, do you periodically just introduce a new instrument or something that you know how to play into the show that you might not normally use?
It's a little hard to do when you're doing a specific set that you put together. I think between the four I mentioned before, that pretty much covers everything that we do live. There have been times we played the cover of the Zeppelin tune, Going to California, and I popped out a mandolin for that era that we did that song. Just off the cuff, I would have to carry, way too many things and probably have my own plane, so that's not cost effective.
Exactly. Now, I'm not a big fan of prefab questions and all that, but I did see one in our emails, and it really strikes me because I'm curious to hear your take on this. I think it's a cool question. It's 30 seconds to the curtain call. What's running through your mind at that point?
It's just an energy and just looking around at your bandmates, just going, we get to do it again. It's that kind of adrenaline. It's not ever nervousness. It's just the excitement of going out there and hitting that first note and that first connection with the audience. It's certainly greater than any other substance I ever tried in my past. Playing in front of people always won out. That's why I was lucky enough to never really, get into the substance abuse myself. Because playing live was the best drug there was.
I'm curious on this one. Now we're talking about being on stage and everything. Do you right during the show, do you find a couple fans or a certain area where you focus on? You just kind of keep looking at them, or you just try to pan the whole crowd and everybody becomes a bunch of bleeps in the horizon?
I don't think you can avoid not, connecting with, one or two or 12 people, like throughout the set. There's certain people that have just, one of those connections with your energy or your essence. You try to scan the crowd, but at the same time, you'll catch on somebody that, is vibing with you. And one of the greatest things for me of the last 5 years, maybe even 10 years, is the fact that you've got the guy, that's maybe 45, 50 years old, and he's out there. He looks like a Great White fan, like in that, age group and that genre. But he's got his kid or his grandkid on his shoulders. And they might be anywhere from like 7 to 10 years old, rocking out. And these kids are singing the verses of Rock Me. And, to me, that is the ultimate compliment because, A, the songs have lasted, and B, the parents are passing the music down to the next generation. I can't think of a bigger compliment than that. So when I catch upon, a young little one rocking out and knows the music that well, I just kind of have to be taken aback. Like, this is just truly amazing that this happens.
Well, I can really connect with it just for the simple fact I grew up in the 80s. I was born in the 70s and later on. And I heard your guys' music starting out in the mid-'80s. Right around that time, I was about 5 to 10 years old. And I completely remember being introduced to it by my parents. And to have you talk about, say the kids on their parents or their grandparents' shoulders, that kind of brings me back to my childhood and how I'm bringing my son up at this point, because we're huge into rock and roll. I think rock and roll is, golden god in this world. And I want my son to feel the same way growing up. And if I can ever do that for him, it's going to be a feather in my cap as well. So, kudos to, bringing that up as well.
And it's amazing the connection between music and how it spans the generations. I've always been in awe of the power of music in that regard. And I feel really blessed that, I have the ability and the luck to have had success in my life doing the one thing I love more than anything else. And, 35 years later, people still want to come and see us, that the songs are lasting and, that still means something to them. I mean, again, one of the greatest compliments I could ever receive.
Oh, yeah. And I think one of the things that I'll hold dearest to me is my son's first picture with any national band was Kevin Martin from Candlebox. He was here in Utica.
Oh, right on.
And,
right on.
Yep, he had him in his arms as a baby, and it was cold outside, but we had him bundled up, and Kevin was very gracious, sit and chat with us for a while, and he definitely took some pictures and everything. And that meant the world to me. It's going to be one of the first pictures that I can look back and show my son and be super proud of it, and we're going to continue getting them. Just like
right
little
on.
things we could do. Now, moving on to the next question. Is there anything unique that the fans can look forward to during the show, like a special light show, anything like that?
The thing about going out and doing fly dates the way we do them now is it depends on, like a casino, it's typically anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour set time. So it's getting harder and harder to field a set from 14 studio albums. Like, which songs do you pick? How do you make it fresh? How do you make it surprising? But, I mean, as far as the songs go, I always look at when we go play Once Bitten, Twice Shy, that's the first time that we've played that song in front of that group of people. So that's how it keeps in my mind, and it's always fresh. But, I mean, there's a little, little jam sections we do in between songs sometimes that are completely off the cuff, and, that's a bit of a surprise. And some nights they work fantastically, and other nights not so well, but, we're out there just showing that we love to play, and that's some pretty cool moments for me.
Now, do you guys ever leave songs out that fans would expect to hear, and do they get disappointed?
I think it's virtually impossible to do all the songs in, certainly in a 45-minute or a 60-minute set that the fans would love to play. I mean, if you just took Once Bitten, Twice Shy, Hooked, Psycho City, and Sail Away, if you just took those 5 records, if you did only 2 songs from each record, that's 60 minutes. If you only got 45, you're going to have to leave something out.
Could you imagine looking at everybody's faces that you didn't play Once Bitten, Twice Shy?
Yeah,
they'd be disappointed.
That wouldn't, I'm pretty sure that wouldn't work.
No.
Yeah. I think there might be a person or two that was upset with that, or Rock Me Missing, or Save Your Love Missing, or even that House of Broken Love. I mean, there are songs that you really, really, truly must play.
Oh, absolutely. Now, we're talking about all the different albums and everything such as. How has the band's music changed from the first release of Great White way back in '84 up to Full Circle now here in 2017?
I think obviously the biggest change was from the first record between that time and the release of Once Bitten. I think the first record, the band was, leaning toward more of a combination between Judas Priest and Van Halen. It had that kind of vibe to it. And I think, the band was still developing. We were working on finding, our niche as far as our sound. And I think by the time we got to Once Bitten, we figured out that Mark is one of the best blues rock players out there, underrated for sure. and implementing his talent and his imagination from the guitar standpoint, going into that realm of the blues rock thing, I think helped us find our identity. And I think our identity has pretty much stayed the same since that point. I think it was easy for us to, once we found our niche, I think that was our identity, and as long as we stayed true to that through all these years, that I think I can't speculate entirely, but I hope that that's why the fans have stayed with us, because we have stayed true to who we are.
Okay, that's cool. Now, I have about 3 more questions. I don't want to take up your whole afternoon. I could probably talk half the afternoon, to be honest with you. Now, with technology since back in, obviously the internet's evolved, everything else over your guys' this is your 40th anniversary as a band coming together, I believe, right? Back in 77?
Yep. Pretty soon, yeah.
How has the internet and video streaming hindered your sales, and how do you feel about that? Should it be monetized? I know music downloads are, but say like YouTube videos aren't. So you guys are missing out on royalties and all that stuff. How do you think everything has changed as far as sales throughout the years?
Well, it's interesting how it has changed. I mean, when the brick and mortar record stores went away, that obviously changed, a lot of our fan base and their traffic, because even now, we're a band that most of our fan base that will buy through on a new record likes the physical product as more than they like the download. So we always seem to sell a lot of pieces, actual physical pieces. I think our downloading is only about 20-25% of our record sales for a new record. And it really hasn't changed in the last 10 years. As far as video streaming, I think it's cool that people can, get access to seeing the videos and hearing the music. It's nice that all the digital, places that monitor all of those plays, all the songs are registered, so we are getting, some income from that, which is, not something that was happening about 10 years ago. All that has changed. With the advent of social media too, it's changed. I mean, when I was a kid growing up, the only real connection I had with an artist was reading a Circus or Hit Parade or magazine interview, imagining, looking at pictures and imagining what their life was like. And now it's a lot easier for fans to connect with artists and see what their days and years are really like.
Oh, absolutely. And to be honest with you, most band members and musicians out there, their lives are no different than anybody else's. You got families, you've got some guys still work, and I talked to Steven Adler, and he does the same things. He goes on tour, he's working. A lot of musicians out there are no different than anybody else. They're just blessed to be on stages in front of thousands and thousands of people at times. So, it's
just what we're lucky enough to get to do.
Absolutely. Now, I just want to switch gears a little bit. Tell us something fun you guys like to do on the road to decompress, like, such as going to a bowling alley, or are you particular about going out to restaurants all the time, something like that?
Yeah, it's changed dramatically from when we were on a tour bus constantly. It was much easier to, take a mini bike out, or, take your bowling ball out, or baseball, equipment and stuff, and do that on days off. Now we're basically spending our days off traveling to the next city to do a show, and then we go back and we have 3 or 4 days at home before the next weekend, and we do that pretty much all year long. One of the things we do socially, I would say now, is probably the night we get in. If it's not too late, we like to sit down and have a mange, and check out a restaurant or something, and that's kind of where we're at as far as what we get to do socially, just based on the time constraints now.
Oh yeah, and there's actually some great restaurants right at the Turning Stone Casino. So if you guys like anything from Italian, steakhouse, buffets, I'm a fan of them. They're not the best food always, but don't ask me why, but I love them.
Well, I'll have to check that out after sound check.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, what's the group's favorite current bands that are out touring right now, such as like a Disturbed or, maybe a Godsmack or whoever it might be, or somebody completely in different genres?
Well, our drummer really likes Disturbed. As far as who Mark is digging, I mean, he goes to see classic people. He just went to see Robin Trower just recently. As far as the new band, for me, one of the best bands and most energy that I love is Hailstorm. I mean, Lizzie just rocks it.
Lizzie,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Lizzie is she's been around here about 2 or 3 times in the past year and a half or so. One was a festival, and I mean, she just puts on an amazing show, and her vocals are completely underrated. I think Maria Brink as well. But I think all of them will eventually, in time, will be headline tours and stuff like that. So, I look forward to seeing that in the future. Now, with Full Circle, what were you guys really striving for on this album? I mean, as far as is there anything behind it, or is it just you guys were hanging out and just wrote something cool?
As far as, writing for the record, Mark and I had kind of worked on riffs throughout the year of 2015 and a little bit in 16. And then we found out there was a window to do the record in January. We kind of had to marshal all our forces and put together some material and make them into completed songs. And that went really quick. I mean, because we've done it so many times that there is a language and a communication between all of us that works so easily, and we just move so quickly there. And one of the things I love about the record is that it's very diverse in terms of its approach to things. And that I think is hopefully the fans agree that it's been our signpost. That we don't do 3 songs 4 times and there's our record. We like to mix it up with dynamics and different instruments, and it's just fun to make a record after all these years.
Oh, that's awesome. Now, now do you guys when you go out on tours? Do you guys still go out on tours or?
It's not really organized tours like, you were out for 150 shows straight on. I mean, basically the way we work anymore is we go out and do weekend shows. We'll go leave on a Thursday, play Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in 3 different cities, fly to all those dates, have them rent backline on the show, bring our guitars, basically set up, plug in, and do the show and move on, and then we're home on Sunday night or Monday and then have a couple days with our families, and then go out and do it again. The summer.
So you guys are pretty much predominantly doing the one-offs and flying in and driving in
that kind of thing.
Yeah,
we probably do 40, 45 a year.
Okay, gotcha. Well, that's pretty. I was about to say almost part-time, but that's still kind of a full-time job there. Now, when you're at the shows, I know a lot of times there's supporting a local band sometimes and some of the smaller venues or even some of the other shows. Do you guys ever get a chance to just go out in the crowd and maybe throw on a baseball cap or something and go listen to the bands?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes we'll do that. We'd like to do meet and greets, after the show at the merch booth, and really get a chance to listen to what people are saying, feeling, thinking about the new material, about their history with us, and stories they might have. And occasionally we do acoustic shows where we do all of our classic songs in an acoustic format, and those are very intimate and a lot of fun. People are right up in your face, and you're just rocking out, on acoustic and a real drum set. And it's a lot of fun to do the songs like that once in a while.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I know Smile Empty Soul comes around here a lot. They do a lot of acoustic shows, and they'll come as a 3-piece there. And, they always put on an amazing show as well, so I would love to actually catch you guys do that too. That'd be something, pretty phenomenal right there. Well,
Right
I
on.
don't want to take up any more of your time. You've been gracious enough, and, we look forward to catching you guys at Turning Stone Casino tomorrow night, and the show starts at, I believe, 7 or 8 tomorrow?
I think it's 8 o'clock for Slaughter and 9:05 or 9:10 for us.
Gotcha. All righty. We'll definitely have a photographer there and, capture all the fun you guys are having on stage. And I do greatly appreciate you sitting down and taking time to talk to us.
Well, thank you much. We'll see you out there.
All right. And once again, we'd like to thank Michael Lardie of the band Great White. They're going to be at the Turning Stone Casino tomorrow, so if you get a chance, and there's still tickets available, go out and get them, and it's going to be one hell of a show. And this is Eric Hall with the Fuze Magazine. Everybody have a great day. Cheers.